This episode of Nintendo Pod Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Power Block here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, the enlightened and excited Eddie B. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Derrick. Yes!
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, I had to do that because of our guests. I'm very excited. very excited.
Yes. Our special guest. He's a friend to us all, and it's no secret, everybody. Please welcome for Secret Friends Unite and Co-op Mode, the one, the only, Todd of War himself, Mr. Todd Oxtra. Hello, good sir.
Holy cow, you guys asked me back. What are you smoking?
I can tell you, but I enjoy everything that I do in my life, so, you know.
Depending where you live, it may be legal, but that's okay. Thank you for having me back. This is awesome. Yes, I really love everything at Boss Rush. We've had all of you guys on our podcast. It's awesome, and I am a Nintendo oddity, so I was really excited to come back on, and thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
Todd, you know, every time you're on a show, I have to give praise to Secret Friends Unite, and congratulations on launching your Patreon too. That's a big deal. That's exciting because it's you never know if it's the right move, and then you just have to pull the trigger, right? We did that last year, and I would have thought Secret Friends would have launched one, like 3 or 4 years ago. I think you guys are that awesome and have such a supportive fan base, but I'm glad you guys finally pulled that trigger, and congratulations on the launch.
I will definitely say Mark and Charlie were the ones that pushed me because I had that imposter complex, whatever you want to call it, that said, "Oh, we're not good enough. People won't pay." But you know what? I'm glad we made the move because not only it said that hopefully people support us and will allow us to fund just doing what we're doing so we can continue to do this, but also do some cool new things we haven't been able to do because we had a hard time justifying to say, yeah, we should do this. We spend more of our personal time, but you know what? I'm so glad we did it. It's fun, regardless if we get 1 or 300 or a billion or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's fun, and people have shown their support. So, yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, Corey, you're so supportive. Ed, you're so supportive. And all I can say is, you guys do so much that is so awesome, and your marketing is top notch. The amount of content you put out there, and just your passion for this is awesome. So I'm just happy to be along for the ride, and I'm glad that I've be able to see everybody's journey through this podcasting process, because I think I've touched so many different podcasting groups, and it's awesome. I just love being part of this funny thing we call a podcasting family.
Yeah, it's funny because Todd, we kind of bring this up maybe once a year or whatever, whenever we finally get to sit down and do podcasts together. But we've this Boss Rush is the third group that Ed and I have been a part of, really, that has kind of looked up to Secret Friends as like a big brother sort of group, right? And I mean, I could talk about how great you guys are all day, but everybody should check out Secret Friends Unite, and then when you figure out that you like their podcast, you should support them on Patreon too.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've gone on a journey with Ed, his early work with his partner Larry Giver, Corey, you and Matt. I remember our journey and the Nerds Gone Rogue and all that fun stuff. So much good times, and that's really what it's all about. My number one thing, if this stopped today, I would be so thankful for the friendships I made along the way, and that's really what it's been about.
Yeah, Ed and I had that conversation the other day too. It was like, I don't know if the friends I have in real life are as good of friends as the people that I've met doing this. So
Right.
it's crazy.
Awesome.
Well, everybody, before we get in, Todd, how was your weekend?
Wow, it was kind of crazy. I mean, um, I podcast on Secret Friends Unite. Just did the one today with Luke Lore talking about all the DCU news. So that was a lot of fun. Um,
Ah,
uh, my wife was at a huge event for the state of Minnesota with the Norwegian military. They have a weird like connection with Minnesota. It's a relationship they've had for 50 years. So she's in charge of that. She works for the public affairs for the Minnesota military for the state of Minnesota. So that was kind of cool. And then my son had friends over. They were playing all the Nintendo games, and I was being the dad in the other room trying to leave them alone as they played. So, it was just a very fun, chill weekend.
oh, nice. Corey, how was your weekend?
It was all right. We went to the children's museum with the kids this weekend, and that was a lot of fun. And made some crafts and did some sciencey things and building things, and they love it there. It's just this kind of like, I don't know, they're actually expanding, which is really cool. It's just this place for kids to like experiment and do cool things with sciencey stuff, and you know, block building and crafting, and there's water works there and stuff. It's cool. It's a cool place. So if you're in the Akron area, the Akron's Children's Museum, you should check it out.
Oh, nice. For me, well, I hurt my ankle, uh, Friday, so I could walk, but I was kind of limping. So Saturday, I stayed in the house and just let my foot heal. Um, but I did play some games pretty much all day. One particular game that I'm going to talk about with Play with Power. But it was such a chill and relaxed week. I downloaded DaVinci. Uh, that
Talk to if you need help, talk to Laurent or Celeste. They will
that's
help you.
yes.
I use Final Cut
Um,
Pro, so I don't know anything about DaVinci, but I can tell you to download it and talk to them.
uh,
Hey, Ed,
uh,
pro tip: I have a nursing degree. Little known fact about myself. I thought I was going to be a doctor, but make sure you're elevating heat and cold in moderation on your ankle,
ankle.
and lots of,
Yeah.
ibuprofen, whatever, to reduce the swelling.
Yes. Yes, Dr. Oxtra. I will take your voice. Yeah, I mean it's been getting better. I've been like able to like walk on it today. It really wasn't like in pain or anything. um so it is feeling better. But I will do that. I was gonna get some Tiger Balm and put some on it, just for the heat part and everything. But like it was really telling my body to be like, you know what, this is a day not to go anywhere, not to really do nothing, really just to sit down and just enjoy what you got right now and stuff. So I did that, and of course work. But everybody, we're going to continue on because you know what time it is. It's time for Snackendo. Corey, what have you been snacking on?
Well, Ed, I went to a place this weekend that I haven't had in a very long time. You know what I'm
Ooh.
about to talk about. Okay.
Oh yes.
The the big fat super burritos from Casa del Rio Express. It's my it's my favorite fast uh Mexican food restaurant. It's basically like if you took like a traditional Americanized Mexican restaurant
Hmm.
and put it into a Chipotle like stand situation thing, and then instead of like a Chipotle burrito that tastes very Tex-Mex slash Americanized burrito, it is a traditional American Mexican restaurant burrito, and it is so good. I got the habanero salsa, I got the Diablo salsa, I got the grilled onions and jalapenos, I got the Chipotle chicken, so good, and the on their menu, it's like traditional Spanish rice, but they just call it Mexican rice, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll have that too. Just throw that in there. But man, it was good. There. So Todd, let me tell you about these burritos, okay, real quick.
Do you have a picture? Like,
I have a
can you give me like an example? Like if you just held up your hands,
oh,
like
let me
the
tell you,
size of this
we
thing.
we have the it's probably as big as my Yeti microphone. No joke, probably bigger. I'm not even kidding. Uh, it's so big that we have like the 12-inch like paper plates for when we don't like, and it hangs off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to eat it with a fork. Is how big it is. I can't
Oh,
hold
wow.
it. I have to eat it with a fork.
It's huge. It's stuffed.
Yeah, it's huge. Let me see if I can find a picture that I
It's supposed to
have
be
because
Ohio only location, like
there's
chain.
there's only a couple of them around here, but man, I gotta tell you, it's so good. It is very very delicious.
I love all our little rinky-dinky local Mexican joints, street
Mm-hmm.
taco places. Woo. My son always tells me though that, hey dad, don't put any veggies on mine. Like you're just an infidel.
What does he
No
want on it?
guac or anything. Oh, he
Protein
just
only.
wants meat, cheese, maybe some rice if that, but meat, cheese, that's about it.
Ah,
Oh yeah, that's
he's missing the flavor, the taste,
it
the
doesn't matter, Ed.
goodness.
He's
No.
17. He is no Ed. He's equivalent to a nutrition fan as you are.
I
Oh yeah,
take honor.
Ed has the iron stomach of a
Oh God,
war horse.
Oh,
Ed.
good, good.
I hate to say the day when it comes when age catches up to you, that ends, and it's like, oh, spice.
Unfortunately,
Ooh,
Todd will both be gone, and Ed will still be
that's
trucking
true.
on.
That's Ed's superpower.
Yeah.
Steel stomach. Dun dun dun.
Well, Todd, what have you been snacking on?
Oh my goodness. Do you guys do beverages or just snacks?
We do it.
Anything?
Whatever you want, Todd.
Okay.
Whatever you have consumed and put in your mouth this weekend.
Okay.
Or this week.
So, give you two. So not trying to be a company shill. I work for a certain company that makes a lot of food. There are these like ridiculously delicious Pillsbury like biscuits. They come in a 6-7 pack, almost like mini muffins. You know those mini muffins you used to get like they were 7 in a pack.
Yeah.
There's like these delicious like blueberry biscuits with the glaze, and they're like 7 in a pack. They make like a cinnamon sugar, a chocolate chip, and I got the blueberry ones. They are delicious to go with your coffee. You could probably nuke it too if you want to like heat hot and a little bit like moist. Probably do that. I don't know. I don't want to let anybody like blow up in the microwave. But to go
I
along
must
with
try
it,
these.
oh, they're delicious. They're like 7 packs in a box, and you get like 7 little individual little tiny little things. They're really good, like little mini muffins, but they're biscuits because like Pillsbury biscuits. So that's what I like. But to drink with that, I have one of those Nespresso super frou-frou coffee makers with the pods that's way too expensive, but it's like my one indulgence. And I have a way to like refill the pods because they're super expensive, and that's great. It's just like that. I don't want to make a whole pot of coffee, fill it up, and then I have like some creamer, comes with a little frother. Ooh, talk about pick me up throughout the day.
Oh, that sounds so relaxing.
Nice.
Well, for me, we just got our cookies and cream Pop-Tarts. I know they've been out, but I haven't got them yet. I haven't tried them yet. But I did try because they just came out with the birthday Kit Kat bars.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're probably like what? Vanilla with
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so Hershey, because Kit Kat is Hershey's brand. They have like the Kisses birthday kind of flavor, so it's that kind of texture and that taste. But now it's just on a wafer's Kit Kat bar. It's okay. I mean, if you taste a birthday cake stuff from Hershey and you like it, it's just on the Kit Kat. I still think their mint chocolate one is still the best Kit Kat out of them all. I'm still looking for that strawberry banana though. I want to try that, and I cannot find it in everything. But oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the strawberry chocolate Kit Kat looked really interesting. It's like,
oh, it is amazing.
Speaking of weird flavored candy bars, did you know there's like cookie dough Twix out now?
Yes.
How does that work?
I don't know. I'm not. Look,
Is it a cookie? Is it a cookie? Is it a cookie already?
Yeah,
That's so
It's
weird.
what
yeah.
they just wrap the cookie in cookie dough. I guess I
It's
don't know.
so it has a cookie dough taste and flavor, but
Mm.
still the cookies and cream Twix beats it. I will say this though. The cookie dough Milky Ways are better than the Twix version.
Really?
Yeah, they just
Wait,
released it.
isn't it
Yeah,
like
they
sacrilege? Isn't like Milky Way only like nougat and caramel?
not this one.
Jeez.
But no, because the thing about it is they also got the sea salt and caramel for Milky Way
Ooh.
also.
Ooh. Now I would eat. I love a sea salt caramel. Ooh.
There's sea salt Twix now too. By the way,
Yeah,
So pizza. Wow.
yeah,
yeah. So but
big fan.
yeah, but the Twix cookie and cream, I'm hoping that they bring it back because it is everything. It's so good. Had Panda Express yesterday. I haven't had it in months, everybody, so don't jump all down on my back. But I wanted some Asian food cuisine question mark. And
Mm.
Panda Express was the only place that's open that delivered. And had some Domino's and Chili's. I had a Chili's secret burger from Chili's, and it was really good. And some their baked cheddar potato soup, which is really good also. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, that's pretty much what I've been eating. I only thing Potbelly, because Potbellies don't deliver, and I wish they did. But in my area, uh, but yeah, that's pretty much what I've eaten.
Mm,
Nothing like new yet,
mm.
just yet.
Todd, I
I'm going.
DM'd you that burrito. Oh, I typed it in the chat, but I didn't want to interrupt Ed. So
Oh no, and
I
I
know.
said don't make me jealous because obviously I'm probably not making a road trip to Ohio,
no.
but
Well, it's on our list when I go see Corey. Like
got it. Okay.
we have to go. Yeah, he knows that I'm buying it for him. And so I got to prepare myself to get what he
Nice.
gets because he likes his stuff spicy and hot,
Mm.
and I'm going to turn it to Charizard. Do not eat it and everything. But
Ooh.
everybody, that has been Snack Tendo. Now it's time for Playing with Power. Todd, what have you been playing with Power?
Oh wow. Is this Nintendo only, or
Nope. You can
can I
talk
go?
about
Oh,
whatever games you're playing.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Hi-Fi Rush has been on the top of my list.
Mm.
Game Pass, Shadow Drop. uh, I'm really enjoying it, but I found this with rhythm games that calibrating your TV is a must because, like back in the old days with Guitar Hero, I mean, it's your sound plus your input really matters, and they do give you a way to calibrate that, which is nice. I've been doing pretty well with the game, but there's a point where there's like these projectiles you have to deflect,
yes.
and
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm just really bad at it or the calibration is off because I feel like I'm doing it right and I keep dying. So a
Hmm.
little frustrating there, but it's a great game. I mean, it's the animation style is beautiful. I would
Hmm.
love like an anime based on this or animated series. So that would be cool. And the fact it's got cool music that's actually licensed is very cool. And
Mm-hmm.
the one-offs with the characters is good. I mean, the dialogue is really quippy and it's fun, and the enemies are phenomenal. I mean, they really. I mean, the fact that this is done by Tokyo GameWorks, is that Tokyo?
Uh,
Tango GameWorks.
Tango
take a game.
GameWorks, and I loved Ghostwire Tokyo. It's great, but I mean, this is like a 180 in regards to their horror films and horror games, and doing a music-based anime style action music um, game is phenomenal. So really enjoying that, and it's a game that I will continue to play and get better at. Yeah, I think it's great. It's a big surprise. I think it's $30 too, which is just
Hmm.
great. It's value priced. If anybody else put
Yeah,
this game out, they would be charging $60 to $70.
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Plus, there's that $10 kind of bonus deluxe add-on that you can add to it that has a bunch of skins, and I think it gives you some gears too to upgrade your character early.
yeah.
But I didn't do that, and I haven't really found I'm going out of my way to look for gears to level up either.
No,
So
I haven't either. I think it's fun because you can then choose what type of power ups or overcharges or your companion what they can do. So I think it's
mhm.
valuable to have that option. But I don't think I need it. I mean, I just need to get better or understand if I need to calibrate my TV. But I'm really enjoying it, and
Mhm.
I think it's like a 10 to 15 hour experience. So that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. That's I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that kind of stuff out of Xbox in particular because of Game Pass, right? We saw Pentiment last year, Grounded kind of going through its early access period. Like I think we're going to start seeing these smaller games from them just to fill out Game Pass, because Game Pass is a great place to experiment with those types of games too until they like figure out how to manage all their AAA projects, right? But you know, uh I know this is a Nintendo podcast, but obviously Xbox in particular got hit by a bunch of layoffs through the Microsoft thing with 343 and the Coalition getting hit specifically, and Bethesda a little bit, and some of their projects have really shifted and just aren't being, really managed properly, I think, in a lot of ways. And not that every studio is being mismanaged, but when your top 2 or 3 studios are being kind of retooled and mismanaged, like it kind of makes the whole ship look bad. And so I'm glad that like Tokyo or Tango Gameworks put out uh, 2 great games in 2 years, right? And that's amazing to see. And uh, Obsidian putting out 3 games in 5 years,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I like all these smaller projects and
Would
cool
take
stuff that
game with to
Microsoft's
actually
doing.
be 4, with even with their 2. Oh, because they
Well,
weren't bought
I
yet.
well in 2 years,
What?
I said
Yeah.
two
Oh, I
games in
thought.
2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
Ghostwire Tokyo and then Hi-Fi Rush coming
Hi,
out.
bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right, Corey. It's like it ultimately screams to say what's good enough for Game Pass as a release from a first party perspective. What is it great? And it's like this is a small game and it's getting acclaim, and that's
mhm,
good enough at times. It doesn't have to be the next AAA 80-hour game. And
mhm,
Bethesda, maybe these are studios that are coming from Bethesda, meaning Obsidian and Tango GameWorks, and that's cool, but that's a culture that was already before Xbox managed them.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
Mm.
do, to your point, I mean, Xbox's internal studios outside of like playground games, they seem to struggle.
yeah,
um and that's what I worry about Xbox. It's like you can
mhm,
acquire new studios, and but if you bring them into an Xbox culture, what does that mean? Because your internal studios outside of playground, they seem to just struggle with deadlines, leadership, and
mhm,
consistent output, which just
right.
makes you think, what's going on
Yeah,
there? But I mean,
I mean,
I think
oh, go ahead, Todd. Sorry.
I was gonna say I that was something I was thinking with all these studios that like 343. Maybe it's time to give them something else to do, because maybe
Yeah.
they don't want to just make Halo for the rest of their lives. Maybe the Coalition doesn't want to just make Gears games. Maybe
Well,
Playground doesn't want to make Forza forever.
that's
Well,
the thing about the Coalition is that they had 2 canceled games that weren't Gears because of these layoffs recently, and so now they're shifting all their
alleged
focus
at the
on the.
time.
No, they've been canceled. They
Oh
came
yeah,
out and confirmed it to Video Games
yeah.
Chronicle.
Oh,
Uh,
so they did say that they canceled.
yeah,
Only
and
reason I
so,
said alleged because there was like one was a rumor from one reporter,
uh,
and then the other one
yeah,
was alleged. And
yeah,
so I
yeah.
was wondering
I,
when it ever got
I,
confirmed or anything.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they confirmed it. Because they lost the design teams for those games, and I know. Sorry for the misdirection. I don't have anything new to say about what I've been playing, so this is what I've been playing.
No,
Uh,
it's a cool game. I mean, and I just like this, and I would love to see more Xbox studios do this. I would love to see every first party studio do this outside of Xbox, Nintendo. Like I mentioned, that Kirby game. The fact that
mhm,
it's not on the NSO system, and they haven't had a big addition to the NSO to say this is the value you're getting, and they're going
Mm.
to charge you $20 for this Kirby game. It's just that's frustrating me, because I feel like they should reward the people that continue to pay for that service.
mhm,
We haven't gotten a new NSO like platform in a while. There hasn't
mhm,
been new DLC that's been added, and it just feels like, uh, yeah, it's frustrating as a consumer of NSO to say, what am I getting for your service? Because you're not putting out new games, you're not giving us DLC, you're not giving us
yeah,
anything, and then you look at everybody else; they're giving you so much content every month, and it's like it's a weird,
yeah,
it's the same old story. I don't want to be
It's
the Debbie Downer
yeah,
on it.
no.
yeah.
It's me and Corey had this talk because it was just like I feel like Nintendo has given us so much throughout the years, and I feel like ever since Series X and PlayStation has came out, we have got a little from them. So now the Switch, the pun not pun not intended, this Switch is kind of working. That if we start getting a lot from Xbox or even PlayStation, even with like PlayStation Essentials and Game Pass and stuff, if we're starting getting a lot with that, and Nintendo is cooling down, we
Mhm.
have almost 6 years of a lot of content that Nintendo has gave us just from first party alone.
Yeah. Plus,
So
like,
they. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
oh, sorry. Plus, like, with the with them kind of everybody's kind of skipping E3, although we'll get into that later. But like, to me, Nintendo says they're not going because they don't have a lot to show for the fall, and this is kind of telling me that, like, I initially the rumors were that the next console was coming out in spring of 2025 or something, but this tells me that maybe they're starting to sunset the Switch a little bit, not entirely, but
Mhm.
maybe start thinking about, hey, maybe we should start pushing some of these bigger games like the next Mario game or the Zelda ports we've wanted for a while, or even a Metroid Prime 4 deluxe version or something to the next console, right? And we have a whole series coming. I think the first one actually hit Patreon today, and next gen Nintendo, where we kind of talk about all this for
Yeah.
expansion pass. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the Switch the Switch has a great idea. It's just they are really struggling to execute consistency with it. And the thing too is like, if you can't figure it out internally, like, you're working with Sega to get the Genesis on there, work with them to get Saturn stuff on there. I mean, I know Saturn emulation isn't the greatest, but like, work with Sega, work even Dreamcast or Master System, work with Turbo Graphics, work with Atari. I mean, they got it that Atari 50 and Digital Eclipse got a Jaguar Jaguar emulator working somehow. Like, work with them to get some of those games. It's just, there's so many options they could do, and I know Nintendo's all about working on a budget and saving money and not spending $200 million on a AAA game, but like, I don't know.
And,
I think
and,
NSO is such a great idea, and they just haven't executed the way that I think most fans hoped they would have.
and we
So
got to be. Oh, just one quick thing, Ty, and we got to remember, everybody, when we're speaking about Nintendo, we're speaking about Nintendo Japan, the headquarters, because this is where a
Well,
lot of
yeah,
the stuff
because
a lot of stuff comes out. Everybody thinks like when we say Nintendo, some people might think, oh, all of this stuff is coming out from Nintendo America, and they really don't make those decisions. It's all Japan. So just to give everybody a heads up about
yeah,
that. Go ahead, Todd. I'm
Nintendo
sorry.
America is a localization and legal organization.
hmm
Essentially, they
yeah,
don't make decisions. As you've seen, Doug
Mhm.
Bowser has been MIA. Doesn't have any connection to the gamers, although he shows up to Game Awards and accepts awards.
yeah,
Doug
Mhm.
Bowser has not been on, and this is where I'm thinking about Nintendo. I'm like, because Corey, you talk about like investment, they could easily port all of the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games
hmm
to an SO. No problem. Easy to do. It's not difficult. As you can see, all of the emulation that's out there in the real world for free, porting
yeah,
ROMs on a Switch system, which essentially, with Switch, when it comes to emulation, doesn't require any special. It's got all the thumbsticks. It's got everything like that. There's nothing in those. Obviously, DS is a different experience, but that's something they could do to add value to that extra expansion pack that they added on essentially 2 years ago, and they have not added anything else. So I think the only thing they did last was the uh,
Golden Eye.
Mario Kart, well, GoldenEye, and
Oh,
then
oh,
Mario Kart.
the
But
DLC.
outside of
Yeah.
that, that's all they've added in a year. And just imagine if
yeah,
Xbox says you get nothing on Game Pass for essentially a year. PlayStation says you're not getting any releases for a year. People complain. When it comes to Nintendo, they can do that and essentially get no pushback, which is silly. But it's also the other I think the other thing is on the say. Imagine if Nintendo had no first party games for 18 months.
Oh,
That would be
we
problematic.
lived through that. It was called the Wii
Exactly,
U.
exactly. But Xbox
Sure,
has
it's called the
essentially done,
N64.
yeah, exactly. But Xbox has essentially done the same thing. They've had no first party releases for 18 months.
Yeah,
That's crazy. But I'm trying not to
yeah,
be
I mean,
too negative to all this. I mean,
yeah,
I think the funny part is we talk about where Switch is going. It gets to a point where everybody who wants a Switch has one. regardless of the games that are coming out. People are not buying a new Switch just because Tears of the Kingdom are coming out. It's to a point. It's like, yeah, everybody who wants a Switch has one. There's always a level. Nintendo
Mhm.
hasn't sold this many systems since the DS. The DS
Mhm.
is how many years old?
Yeah.
There's a
Which
point. Even the PS4, they sold 120. That's probably all they're going to get. The Switch is probably going to get to 135. It's like, it doesn't matter what
which
game you put out there. I'm not buying an extra Switch. I've got one in my household. I'm not buying a new Switch for the next Tears
which
of
is
the Kingdom.
which is why the D not the DS, which is why the 3DS uh um connection kind of still feels with Switch, because the 3DS with all the special editions, people are getting special editions for Switch for Nintendo. So maybe that's also helping them sell more. Yeah, you may not need another one, but oh goodness,
But
this
that's
favorite
a
game.
niche number though. That's a niche
I
number.
know,
It's a,
but
yeah.
like if you have 5 different Switches and most of them are special editions, that's bank for Nintendo. Like
Yeah, but
you,
Yeah.
it's tiny, and they potentially are losing out because they're going to sell the next Switch, whatever it's called.
oh
They
yeah,
have how many people that are banked in that will just buy that regardless, and
Yeah.
yeah,
they will potentially, depending what Nintendo's strategy is, backwards compatibility hopefully is a guarantee. I don't know
I
if it
feel
is or
like
not, but if they make people buy the old games again that they already own, I just can't think of a worse consumer focused company that would say that you have to pay it again.
It,
They used to also
especially,
charge upgrade.
especially them pushing the digital
Yeah.
ecosystem now, right?
mhm.
With like, it was different. Like, okay, yeah, Wii U offered digital games, but like the Switch is literally pushing the digital marketplace, right? You get, instead of what, 100 gold coins, you get 300. They have those digital vouchers that you can buy 2 for 100 that,
And you give like
you can,
500 coins for that one for the
yeah.
vouchers.
And it's like they're really pushing it, and if they don't do backwards compatibility or a digital platform on the next console, they are effed to keep it
They're
family
starting from
friendly.
scratch essentially, right? They're
Yeah,
basically
Yeah,
saying you have
for
to
the
buy
third
everything
time.
over.
For the
And
third
quite
time, they're
honestly,
starting from
yeah.
scratch.
And quite honestly, I might be done with Nintendo at that point because I'm like, you're not a consumer friendly focused platform unless you do something completely different that said you can't do this. I mean, what
mhm.
could a new console do that couldn't do what the Switch is? The Switch is essentially a standard console you can just pick up and take away, but it's got
And
all of the inputs. The touch screen is barely used.
that's the
The
Well,
draw at this
well,
point,
this is the thing that me and Corey talking about, because we was talking about everybody. This feels like a dark mode
And
discussion.
if I'm
It's
bringing
fine.
up old crap,
No,
I don't want
no,
to like
no.
do
This
that.
this
Yeah.
is good.
Look, we
No,
don't have a lot of questions, and news is like, we have news stories, but they're light, so who cares?
no. It's the thing with Nintendo is just like, they kind of left backwards compatibility when they switched from Wii U to Switch. And so now if they continue to go forward, to go back to that system, they're going to have to be like, okay, we need a cartridge port for all the physical Switch games because we sold this many and we probably could still sell more.
Well,
Because like if I want to play Breath of the Wild and it looks better and I could buy a physical one, of course, Nintendo be like, well, we got a $60 version, and some people be like, well, let me get this before they start producing it.
my idea is that I don't think that the Switch. I don't think the form factor is going to change. I do think the dock is going to be I think the dock is going to be some sort of console also that will beef up whatever's inside the Switch, and the Switch will be like the console you take with you. It'll essentially be the equivalent of like an Xbox Series X versus an Xbox One S version of a game, right? Where like you take it with you, it's 30 frames a second, it's 720p, but you plug it into this dock, it's at most 4K, maybe 1440p, maybe 50 to 60 frames a second. That's my idea. Because of this leadership at Nintendo right now seems way more conservative than Iwata and Reggie were, right? I mean, they are about making money. They are about getting consoles that people want to buy. It just seems Furukawa is way more conservative at the top than Iwata ever was, and which is good and bad. But I think they've hit the gold mine on the Switch and what it can do and what it is as a platform, that I think they want to iterate on it in a smarter way and a lot of rumors from Moore's Law is Dead and some of these other tech outlets that uh, kind of review these things are saying that Nintendo is looking to kind of keep the concept of the Switch and adding power. And that's all they're concerned about, is adding power to keep third party relationships happy, to kind of keep consumers happy and keep up with the 4K TVs that are more prevalent than they were,
Hmm.
even 2 or 3 years ago. So that's kind of the word on the street, as they say.
Yeah, because
I
4K is
was
becoming a standard in a sense now.
Yeah, and I wonder about that. That was making me think about past Nintendo leadership, and I'm old, so I've been around since the very early days of Game Boy and NES. And back in the day, they weren't really focused on like the gimmick or the thing. They were just like a solid system to do
Mm.
this. They
Well, the
didn't get
gimmick
into
was
like
getting it to work.
Exactly. Or not needing any upgrades or things like that. They didn't get into like the weird stuff until like Virtual Boy. And then they went on to,
Mhm.
the SNES to the N64. Maybe they made innovation in the way you control the game, but it wasn't like the weird thing that was just an offshoot. And then,
Mhm.
you got like 3DS with the 3D and stuff like that. So it's always funny that people say, oh, they always do something weird. They don't always. It's just not. That's been the recent thing because they wanted to stand out from the PlayStations and the Xbox, which were a standard game
Mhm.
on the screen with a controller. Totally get that.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of the negativity too came from like their anti-piracy stuff, where like
yeah,
they didn't move to CDs because of how easy it was to rip a CD, so they say with the cartridges on N64 and ultimately hurt them right with the
Hmm.
PlayStation.
and relationships.
Yeah.
Essentially, they push people out of their
Hmm.
and Nintendo's been kind of dicey because they've always pushed people away versus been welcoming to other developers. Like it's our system, but you can come play as long as you play the way we want you to.
Hmm.
And they've burned relationships. That's why PlayStation exists, because Sony is or Nintendo essentially burned them and said, "Ah, we're not actually going to do a Nintendo PlayStation. We're not
I
going to
call
do
it
it."
I call that the Yamauchi era,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
because
That.
yeah,
Hmm.
he made a lot of these. I mean, he was headstrong and he was set in his ways, but like looking at it, if you like read all the stuff that he did and everything and learn about his era, you love what was on the Super Nintendo and N64 and on the NES and all that stuff. But I'm just like, he was head of leadership and he just seemed like the person no one really wanted to work with.
Yeah.
And everything. But then you get to the Iwata era, and it was just like Iwata had to really build it from the bottom up. And like even when you read this book and stuff, it was just like Iwata was a fresh presence for
Hmm.
Nintendo. And I think he drew us in definitely with the director and him coming on, because at that time we didn't see any of the CEOs or head honchos of a video game company do a presentation like that, coming out and speaking and everything. Like, and
He was
that
a
was
character.
big.
He
Yeah,
became a
he was.
character as well
yeah.
as the leadership, right? And I think,
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies ended up going that way for a while, right? You had Sony with Sean Layden for a while.
Hmm.
Obviously, Phil Spencer is kind of the character figurehead of Xbox right now, and Reggie obviously became the meme of video games, right? So, I mean, to Iwata was kind of spawned the personality driven business side of things, right? And then obviously Nintendo spawned the directs, which, I mean, everything's in digital presentation now, so we saw how that went. And it's Nintendo does a lot of great things, but they also do a lot of questionable things, and I think that's why fans are so frustrated. It's because like Nintendo gets it in so many different ways, and then they don't get it in the simplest ways, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, if they would just like look at what Xbox is doing with Xbox Live, or if they would just, I don't know, use a disc instead of a cartridge, or if they would just figure out how to get their online store to look like a store instead of just someone's Instagram feed. Like, just let do like
It it, it
it seems
that's
like the simple things, you know.
and I think that's the thing about it, because we actually, Todd, me and Corey had this discussion that Americans always try to make Nintendo as a Japanese company appeal more to American than their own country, because Nintendo Japan is always going to cater to them first before they cater to anything worldwide. So I think we have what Microsoft built. And I give it up to Microsoft because they set a foundation how gaming in America could and should be in some ways, in some aspects, and Nintendo is not getting that in everything, and
which
it's kind
is
of right.
which
Oh, go ahead.
which is so weird because I was gonna say because Sony is a Japanese company,
Hmm.
and they've fully embraced like a worldwide mindset, and they don't just make games for a specific audience. They're big in the UK. They're big, so there are a lot of the games played that way. Nintendo though is still focusing on Japanese like audiences. If you think of like Splatoon, that's not a North American experience. If you think of Fire Emblem, that's not a North American experience. Rarely do they do that. And I do at one point think of like, how is Nintendo going to transition without an Iwata, without any execs that are thinking in that mindset, except for Miyamoto, to transition to say, what do we do next? How do we transition people successfully? Nintendo has never had year over year success when it comes to a console transition. They've gone from like the Wii to Wii U. They've gone from NES down to, so they've never done that before. They've never had to do that. Whereas I would say Sony's best in class. If you think about that, it went from PS1, PS2, PS3 came down, PS4 came back up. I don't count Vita and the handhelds thing because that's just a weird oddity. And if you look where PlayStation 5 is, even if there's stumbles, they're barely behind the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I think
I just, yeah.
Oh, and I think that's because each console has their histories of ups and downs and stuff. And I think that's what I love about gaming now is that each of them, yes, can learn from each other, but they all did something different. Each of them had their highs and each of them had their lows, and it's great to see how all of that has unfolded over the years. Nintendo, yeah, it has its highs, it has its lows, but there is something about Nintendo that makes you wonder, be like, where are you guys taking gaming? Because I'm like, if we think about PlayStation and Microsoft, no knock against them, what graphics are you going to produce? You're not going to take us anywhere really, like game wise or game ideas. But what graphics are you producing? Yeah, you're going to have
I don't
some
know if
great
it's about
functionality.
graphics anymore though, because I
Yeah,
think
I,
we're at a plateau with
Yeah.
graphics. I think Sony is like, what can we do from a medium to push things forward from all audiences to different things like that? Where
Yes.
Nintendo is, I always think of like where Nintendo is now in regards to their franchises they focus on. It's Animal Crossing, which has become a thing, and then it's Smash Brothers, it's Kart, it's Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Kirby can place in there. But those are the games, and I think of like where they're headed. I'm like, can they do more than Smash Brothers Ultimate? Can they have another Animal Crossing where it highlights where you don't have COVID and things where you have a captive audience? I worry, I'm like, and then you only have Breath of the Wild once. Zelda's never done that before. So I always wonder, I'm like, where's Nintendo going once? Because it feels like I don't know how they go, what's next? Because even their biggest franchise with the Switch that's new is Ring Fit Adventure. And they've done nothing to come back to that.
yeah.
But they keep making Fire Emblems. So I'm like, what is Nintendo doing to grow their audience that's not a franchise that is 10 years old?
Yeah.
It seems like they are stuck in like Pokemon. They can't keep grinding out Pokemons every year because after a point, it's like they show their fatigue. They don't grow. They actually don't perform well in regards
this is
to
the
a
thing.
function.
And this is the thing about it, that is the Pokemon company and not really Nintendo. Because if Pokemon wants to put
Come on, Ed.
Nintendo
controls Pokemon company, and they're fine with putting out
Pokemon,
a subpar product without minimum investment. Why is the Pokemon is the biggest franchise in the world, yet they put the least amount of effort into their games?
Well,
why don't they have? Why is Fortnite the? Think of how much Epic puts into Fortnite.
Everything.
And that's not the biggest franchise in the world.
Hold on. Let's rephrase that. What if Fortnite didn't take the idea of PUBG to make it what it is today?
PUBG also stole the idea from the
Yeah,
80s movie and the other games, the other battle royales that were out at the time. But
Battle Royale
look,
was a good
but the
movie
thing
too.
the thing about I mean, look, Picasso said the best art is always stolen from someone else. You just get recognized
absolutely.
for it. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think Fortnite, regardless of what anybody thinks about the game, whether you like it, whether you hate it, whatever, is they've made an incredible package out of that. They get it, right? They made a
Hmm.
game that looks cool. The mechanics work great. They do great collaborations every couple weeks. They nailed what a battle pass looks like and got rid of microtransactions. They pretty much eliminated microtransactions from almost every game except for mobile games, right? Like everybody's
Hmm.
stealing the battle pass idea, or you can buy skins at will, right?
It
Like they've done a great job of giving players choice, and I think Fortnite is an incredible package.
it it became the new Minecraft of the generation.
I mean, essentially, yeah. I mean, you have that generational game, right? Started with Angry Birds and then Minecraft, and then
Mhm.
now Fortnite, like you said, Ed. And it's like, man, that's crazy. And
And I
Fortnite
think,
has not ceased to grow and change. It went from a building game, it went from
yeah,
like a tower defense type of game to that, and they continue to invest and build and improve and power behind the Unreal Engine. It's amazing what they can do, and I'm just wondering, like, what if Nintendo said, "Hey, Pokemon Company, we're gonna fund you appropriately to the level of your success." And we're and if you look at the level of like company employees for Pokemon Company, it's pitiful.
yeah,
And it just makes me, it's depressing that this is the biggest thing in the world. They could do so much better, but Nintendo's not a company that likes to do more than they have to to generate the profit they want. They could
yeah.
and
be
And but
uh,
you look at something like Breath of the Wild, right? And they actually did something more than they like really needed. They could have just put out another
yeah.
Twilight Princess or
mm,
Skyward Sword, right? But they added, a little bit of voice acting, but they put some production work behind some cutscenes. They, made this giant open world. They made a great physics engine, a great world that you can interact with in various ways, right? I mean, just that small change of making it open world and going wherever you want to go and adding all that physics and environmental stuff to it changed the way we think about Zelda now, right?
Yeah.
And I what on the ranking Nintendo we just did for Switch, which is coming out in a couple weeks. I talked about how Breath of the Wild, like how we were excited about Breath of the Wild was the same way Star Wars fans were excited about Force Awakens, right? You
mm.
We didn't know anything about it, and we didn't. You only get that surprise once, like Todd said earlier, right? And Tears of the Kingdom is essentially going to be. I mean, it's a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. I'm expecting an expansion on the Breath of the Wild formula, right? But we don't know what's coming, but we know what kind of game it's going to be, right? Now, granted, they're going to probably have some sort of crafting and like the sky world and underground, and maybe the return of dungeons has been a rumor that's been heavily cropping up, which is what I want, like the return of proper dungeons and that kind of stuff. But like, we essentially know what we're getting with Breath of the Wild 2. uh and I wish they would take that step with their bigger franchises, like Pokemon, like Todd said, or even like Mario, right? We got the Bowser's Fury add-on for 3D World, which
So
is
and I
was
think
interesting. But
and that's why I think when it comes to games like that, I think that's why they keep changing the graphic style sometimes and the gameplay to see what's going, not saying what's going to land, but to make you feel like each game that you're playing is different. Um, we didn't expect, I mean, yes, they had for Zelda, they had some idea of open world because of Ocarina of Time kind of being that, or taking that design and making it bigger and stuff. So that's how we
mhm.
got Breath of the Wild in a sense. Um, you know, we
Yeah, but
uh,
I would argue the shock for Ocarina of Time was a 3D Zelda game in general,
mm,
right? I mean, you can still kind of point the blueprint back to Link to the Past and say this is
yeah,
just Link to the Past in 3D, right? But like, I mean, not that those games are bad; they're great. But I'm just saying, like, I think the shock with Breath of the Wild is different because it's a
It was
different
more
type of
freedom.
game and more freedom as opposed to, oh, they lifted the formula and gave us a 3D game, which we've never had 3D games before, and this is amazing, right?
Yeah.
It was like going from a Dark Souls 3 to an Elden Ring in a lot of ways, because it was like, here's the architecture, but it's like you can actually do crazy things. It's open world, and we've never had that really before. And it's funny that you talk about that, Corey. It's like I think of Mario, and I'm like, Odyssey was amazing. I loved Odyssey, and we got the Bowser's Fury, which I thought was fine, but it was still kind of self-contained.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, like, um, so that leads me into like the mindset of like, considering Switch had so many reinventions of a lot of their properties, which is amazing. I'm curious where the next Switch or the next console goes to say, what do you do more than Super Smash Brothers Ultimate? What do you do more than a Breath of the Wild? Because I feel like a Breath of the Wild's only once in a generation type of thing, and
Hmm.
I don't think we've seen that with Zelda, where except for if you go from like NES to the if you go to the NES to the Super Nintendo to then the N64, then you go to like the Switch, I guess would be the next generation. It's like I don't know if we're going to get that huge leap
Hmm.
to the next consoles. I think you're going to get iterations, which
Yeah,
means you're not going to get the huge like influx of people that are not familiar with Nintendo, which is similar with other generations. It's like, oh, I already got that situation with Nintendo and the Switch. I don't need to go back. And I
yeah.
worry about that. It's because you only grow so huge once,
Hmm.
and to go again. So this
But
potentially,
I think
unless they say show us something completely different we couldn't have gotten the Switch,
so.
or something
I
we
think
didn't see before.
Yeah,
But
but
so I think that's when the level of acceptance of a console, because if you're
Hmm.
expecting a lot for Nintendo and you're not expecting that with PlayStation and Microsoft, it gets to the idea why do they get off easy and Nintendo has to work hard to get that
Nintendo
acceptance?
doesn't, though. Nintendo
No,
largely hasn't had to do that. I would say what Nintendo has to do, considering right now people are saying when Nintendo puts out anything like a Kirby that's so will sell, like Luigi's Mansion, will sell ridiculous amounts, more so than anything else.
well,
And it's
I
like,
mhm,
think
how does a Luigi Mansion 3 sell 13 million copies, but a Last of Us, which is a genre-breaking game,
mm,
barely sells that? That's what I'm talking about, lad. And it's just like
yeah,
Nintendo games sell more because ultimately Nintendo also gets
oh no, you know what
a
I would
bump because Nintendo most games are all ages.
hmm,
so I
PlayStation and
wasn't
Xbox
thinking.
games are immature. So you're
So I
the yeah,
oh no, so I wasn't thinking about games. I was just thinking about the console and what is
right.
provided, what is changing. And we're saying what can Nintendo do from a console perspective and
hmm,
everything. Nintendo is always working hard to change something, but Microsoft and Sony don't really have to do that. They all they gotta really do is give you better graphics, make the controllers kind of easier, and make it feel good, and then they
and
can
put a
release
headphone
whatever
port
they
in
want.
the controller.
Or just give me a great way to play great games and not tell me I need an IR blaster. I don't need
Mhm,
HD Rumble, and I have to spend $80 on a set of controllers that largely don't work.
uh-huh.
Nintendo didn't need all the gimmicks. The gimmicks
Yeah,
they had that weren't additive. It was really I could take my games on the go thing. That was addition, and the fact that these Switch games you could play those on almost every Switch game, including maybe a few like 1-2 Switch. You could play those on a PlayStation 5. You could play those on Xbox. There's no differential to play a Xbox. That's what I'm saying. So when Nintendo no longer needs to have a gimmick to make their games great, that's awesome.
yeah,
That means that
But
that'll be
the
the gimmick.
console shouldn't have to matter.
so
That'll be
so
the
I don't
gimmick
think
is Nintendo
so.
doesn't have a gimmick. It's just you could the
So
gimmick
that
so hold on, Ed, before you unleash whatever thought you're about to explode on us, right? I think my thought is here. I think whatever the next console is needs to be a Switch with a box. Like the dock needs some processing power in it, and maybe a hard drive would be nice. I mean, Steam Deck has proved that you can put an SSD in a handheld, right, and
mhm.
be perfectly fine. Might be a little bit bigger, might be a little bit chunkier. Don't worry, Nintendo iterate on it 2 years later, and you're going to buy that one too. Uh, take away the Joy Cons. Give us a Pro controller with a headphone jack and maybe some sort of online support, and like that it's fine.
so this is the thing, and I'll get to my playing with power
Oh
when we get
gosh,
to
we're
news.
still on that.
I think the thing to me is that even if Nintendo got into the same way that Microsoft and Sony was doing all of their stuff, and I know I keep going back to that, it's going to get to a point where people or some consumers and players going to be like, I miss innovation because everything feels the same. And it's
Well,
going to be like,
I mean,
well, we don't want. I'm
Well,
not
what's the
calling it.
innovation with the Switch this time? It's the Steam Deck, right? The Switch,
yeah.
it's the thing, and that's what the Steam Deck was. So I'm like saying, at this point, Nintendo's not
But
innovating
see,
with a
but
Mhm.
way to play; they're playing with a place to play.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But with Nintendo, like they always try to innovate with their systems and stuff.
But they
And
don't
so
need
I'm
to
like,
anymore. That's the thing. They hit it. They nailed it. The
mhm.
Switch is it. Just give us a better one.
Game
but
Boy to Game Boy Advance. What was the main change? A couple more buttons.
Yeah.
NES to game to SNES was more buttons. The game, and so I'm saying Nintendo doesn't always do that. They give you more ways to interact with your games. If anything with Nintendo, I just want games that I enjoy. I could care
Mhm.
less about the box I play it on or the way I play. I just want a solid controller that I can have awesome experiences with.
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
give me anything else that takes away from that because I've got to have extra bibs and bobs and an extra 3D screen, to me that means that's just I'm putting glitz and glamour and taking away from the substance. And
Mhm.
I felt like with the 3DS, that's exactly what they did. They added more glitter and glamour. The Wii U, they added more glimmer and glamour. And guess what it did? It made their worst performing systems in years. And I
Yeah.
think for the Switch to be the next Nintendo system, just give us good games and care less
but
about
I think,
adding
but
in
I think
X-ray vision.
that's,
Yeah.
but I think that's the thing about it. When they do give great games, everybody, and we're gonna get it to
Are we?
Hi-Fi
I'm not
Rush.
sure we are if you keep
Hold on.
going.
So, so
Because
my
what's
last,
the take? Let's put the way. What is the
so
key
my
takeaway
last,
from the Switch?
so
What is
my
the key
last thing.
takeaway from the Switch? If I said if the Switch was the best system in the world, it's because I could make a Switch Lite and have a console
Oh,
experience
no,
on the go.
I think the thing about it is that even when Nintendo give great games, it's going to be up to the consumer if they want to go out and play those great games. Because
Oh, sure.
the thing about it is, like you said, you want a great game, no matter what the box. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 should have been in everybody's house, but there are people who didn't
No,
go and
Ed,
get
because
that.
I do
Hold on,
not like
hold on, hold on, hold
JRPGs.
on. But that's what I'm saying. When Nintendo present those great games and stuff, it's up to the consumer to make that decision on what they want to collect. If Nintendo is putting out the product for people to go and get, and they're great games, you see great reviews, you see people talking about them, it's still up to that
If
consumer if they
Xenoblade
want to get it.
Chronicles was on other systems, I don't think it would get the claim if it wasn't just a Nintendo exclusive, to be
Oh,
honest.
it's Octopath Traveler. When it came to Xbox, it got no talk at all. Persona 5 Royale should have got a lot of talk, and guess what? That thing got more talk on Switch than it did than
Yeah.
Xbox. And this is what we've been wanting. Y'all wanted people wanted these big games on these other consoles outside Nintendo, and they came, and no one said nothing. And I don't know if it's by the people that I follow. I don't know. But Nintendo has
Because
put out
Nintendo
great.
fans are very if there's a game on there, they're going to play it. It doesn't mean they would buy
True.
another system for that same game if it wasn't Nintendo. And that's the
Right,
biggest problem.
because I can
You'd
tell you
say,
right now.
yeah,
Because I can tell you right now, Nintendo can't do Hi-Fi Rush. Because I finished Hi-Fi Rush.
and, and I
Oh,
think
it's
they should be able to because it seems like a game that would be perfect for the
oh
system.
yeah.
I don't feel like it's like that system demanding of a game,
Mm-mm.
and it should work on
Mhm.
Nintendo. But I don't hear any Nintendo fans saying, I want that game on Switch." And that's
Oh
the
no.
problem. It's like if you only like a game because it's on a
Look,
certain console,
we're
that's the
trying,
ultimate fanboyism, which means that you don't really care about gaming as a whole. You care about
Mhm.
your
we're trying to
system,
look.
which
We're trying to get. AK, I'm trying to get Elite Beat Ages because I love that
sure.
game.
Well, and
Um,
that's a perfect game that could be put on Switch because it's got a touchscreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Hi-Fi Rush is really good. I'm so glad that I played on Xbox. I brought the digital when I just finished it. That last boss is a trip. Um, I really love the last stage and the music that goes with it. It's some band like the Jet Babies or something like that. They had a really great song, and I just like how that game leaded that up to it. Hi-Fi Rush is something I think really Microsoft needed. I'm not saying because I did say that it feels like an Insomniac game, but yet it's or it's from a different company at Microsoft. And I'm just like, this really sets it apart. And when Microsoft do games that set them apart from everybody else, I truly love that. And Hi-Fi Rush, I really think it's going to, even if it doesn't win Game of the Year or whatever, it deserves every nomination. And I think at this moment in time on Series X, it's one of the best Xbox games on Series X.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, some people give it to Psychonauts 2 when they came out. Some people gave it to Forza Horizon 5 and everything. But, like, really for 2023, they literally knocked it out the park for a first party developer from Microsoft along with High Five Rush. And if people want to listen to the interview from the creator, the recent A4 Play, they interviewed them about that game. Really worth the listen for that.
Yeah, and pro tip when you're playing it, and you hit the option button on your Xbox, it
Yeah.
is in like which is like, why didn't you tell me that? That's really cool. And Luke Lore just interviewed them as well.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous because when he said that, I'm like, I cannot wait to hear this.
That was
proud of
fast.
Luke.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, he's been on a lot of like podcast tours talking about the game. John Johnson or something like that. They called him JoJo on A4 Play because he had just did the Min Max show and everything. So everybody that has been playing with Power / Dark Mode.
Man, I derailed this, didn't I?
Oh,
By the
no,
way,
no.
Ed that derails it with the right.
Right.
By the way, Dead Space Remake is fantastic, but I don't want to play that game because I already played it again. So it's fantastic. It's really good. That's all I want to tell you. Forspoken is not very good. I played that as well. So I'm very excited for other games though.
So I will say, I got to get the PlayStation 5 because I am looking forward to Forspoken. Dead Space is on the back burner. I haven't picked it up yet. And Hogwarts Legacy is the one I am going to be picking up, but that stuff is going to be coming later and everything. The second game that I've been playing this season is A Letter to the Future for Talk to Walk. Beautiful game. I think it should run better on PlayStation 5. It's kind of a little bit chuggy on PS4 at some parts. But it's a beautiful game. I'm very interested on what this mystery is going on in this game. But great voice acting, great art. It has this kind of cell shade, but the mouse don't move. So I'm like, it really is an indie game, but it's really, really beautiful and stuff. River City Zero, I started. And then, but I'm going to be jumping back to Fire Emblem Engage. I've been seeing a lot of scenes in it, and a lot of people have just been getting excited for that game. So I'll be jumping back into that. But that's what I've been playing with Power and everything. Todd, really, thank you for that Dark Mode discussion. I really enjoyed that and everything.
I am going to be the most hated person in the world for a while.
I love hearing that. I love hearing, like I said, I love that outside perspective because it really gets me thinking about Nintendo. I might sound like I'm defending them at times, I do, but I really think that when we see their next console, hopefully whatever it is, I hope they do the things that you want from them. I really do.
Apparently, I'm a moron because I bought the Switch, then traded that in for a Switch OLED, and then I got the Joy-Con, the I forget what's like the extras that go on the side. That
the
are like
Hori ones, the big ones, like the.
Well, actually, these are like actually wireless. They're like the Hori ones, but they're wireless. They do extra rumble, and they can use them wirelessly, which are awesome. It makes it much better to play with the Switch. So, that's the only innovation I want in the Switch 2 or whatever we're going to call it. I want Procons. I want real controllers, like a Pro controller, split in half and put on the side of the Switch. That's all I want.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Why not? Why not? Nobody's putting a Switch in the back of their pocket, guys. Come on. When we talk about portable, it goes in a backpack, and regardless of size, it's awesome. We all want a huge screen.
Mine goes in a case in a backpack, so that's all.
Right, my too.
And you know what?
Uh,
Nothing is more uncomfortable than a Joy-Con like this because, what controllers make you go up and down with your thumbs to control
uh,
that? Everything's sideways because that's how ergonomics work, folks. So
Mhm.
it's just the
look,
way it is. So, yeah.
Joy-Cons are my last resort. I got 4 Pro controllers.
They're the
Trust
most
me.
they're the most expensive party controllers. They're $80.
Mhm. The Hori
That
one,
just tells you right there.
the Hori split pad compact ones that I've been looking at these for a while. They're they're $42 on Amazon, and
Yeah,
they have all of the features you want, and they also have a mappable third shoulder button on the
absolutely.
back
Yep.
that you can, I want them so bad, but like I've been just spending money on other things that I can't justify getting another set of Joy-Cons, not Joy-Cons. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushMedia and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.
And everybody, now it's time for Family News! Corey, take it away!
All right, so there's not really a lot of news. There's a couple non-news stories that we originally had in here, but we're eliminating that. Spoilers, Square's releasing new games and probably a new IP in the future.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to talk movie news first. So the Mario movie got a new trailer and a new poster. Cat Mario has been confirmed for the Mario movie. If you guys haven't seen that, it's pretty funny actually.
I showed my son, and it was hilarious because I love the fact that they're just incorporating everything Mario into this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed my son, and he's like, "Oh, really? I thought I said like no, they added the Mario suit now." And we finally heard Seth Rogen talk, and yeah, wow. I don't even know. I'm coming back from Europe when this movie drops, so I'll be like, I need to see this movie as soon as I return.
Which is weird because even though that's Easter weekend, so it's gonna probably be packed. They allowed Seth Rogen to say, "I'm gonna kill you, Mario." I'm like, wait, what?
I know. Well, to be fair though, we've been watching a lot of Disney movies because I have young children, and there's a lot of threatening to kill people in children's Disney movies. We watched The Lion King today, also, by the way. So that was my children's first experience with The Lion King. Obviously, yeah.
Which one? The live action or the animated?
The animated one.
Okay.
I'm excited for the Mario movie. I'm a little bit concerned that they're trying to shove too much into one movie, right? We've already seen a nod to Smash, a nod to Mario Kart, and now the cat suit, right? And then Donkey Kong is mixed in there now, right? Like, it's just like, I'm worried that there is too much in this movie that they're going to shove into one movie, and maybe stuff they could have saved for the sequel,
Well, they do have Super Mario World too, so King Wart could show up in the sequel of the movie.
That'd be cool, though.
I know.
We got Wart in a movie. We haven't gotten Wart in a game in like 30 years, but if he shows up in a movie, I'd be okay with that. Also, Detective Pikachu 2 is still in development. The movie, not the game. The game is also still in development, but Legendary Pictures came out yesterday and stated, yes, we're still working on Detective Pikachu 2. The reason why it hasn't happened yet is because Ryan Reynolds is too busy being Deadpool and Free Guy and everything else that he's been doing in the last, I don't know, few years that made him successful.
Remind me how that movie ended. Pikachu is no longer going to talk like Ryan Reynolds, right?
Well, theoretically, that's the idea, unless, so spoilers for Detective Pikachu. It's been out for 5 years. You should have seen it. Okay. The main character, the main protagonist of the movie, I forget what his name is, but he goes on a mission to search for his dad and finds a talking Pikachu that only he can hear talk, and Ryan Reynolds voices Pikachu. And at the end of the movie, when they solve the crime, it turns out that Ryan Reynolds is the kid's dad, and so he is no longer warped into the Pikachu, and then Pikachu is just a regular Pikachu,
Mhm.
and is his dad's partner at the police station where his dad works. So Ryan Reynolds is the dad of the kid of the like the 20-something-year-old kid that's in the movie that, whatever.
Yes.
Uh Somehow Mewtwo warped the dad into the Pikachu via some sort of
Mind
brain
control.
power. I don't
Psychic.
know. I'm not the Pokemon guy, okay? I just know he's some sort of psychic ability thing. So yeah, I don't know how that would work. Maybe they're still trying to figure it out too. Also,
Great
Ryan
movie,
Reynolds is
by the way.
obviously very busy.
Oh, I loved it. It
Yeah,
was
it was a
great.
great movie.
Yeah.
I just, Ryan Reynolds obviously busy with Marvel now and his soccer team and all this other stuff now. So I don't
I
know.
wonder. I wonder if they're still writing it, like
Well, yeah,
planning and
obviously they
everything.
don't know how to make Pikachu talk like Ryan Reynolds anymore.
That's weird.
Maybe Mew comes in and does the same. Maybe it's just literally the same movie. Who knows? All right. So another big piece of non-gaming news is the Super Nintendo world. Everybody's complaining that the Mario Kart ride at Universal has a waistline limit.
Oopsie.
I'm going to say something really controversial. The most amusement parks and theme parks have waistline limits on roller coasters and rides that have lap bars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
the only one that I can think of that doesn't, because they try to accommodate everybody, is Disney. And so like one of the big amusement parks around me that's really popular is Cedar Point.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I was there, and I was bigger than I am now, but like the last time I was there were rides that I couldn't ride,
Really?
and and so like even with like shoulder harnesses and stuff, my shoulders were too wide, and so like they wouldn't go down all the way, and so I couldn't ride them. I mean, I'm a large person, so I mean it doesn't surprise me, but
Yeah, that's how
this
Six
is
Flags
something
is.
that this is something I've been experiencing for close to 20 years at places that aren't called Disney World. And so, you know, this is just another reason for me not to be excited about Super Nintendo
Well,
World,
and
I
this
guess.
and the real reason is because of your safety. If that thing cannot click because the system reads like if it's clipping the screen, that's all to go.
Yes, the slow
That it
moving
doesn't
Mario
break.
Kart ride. So
that
yeah.
it
Yeah,
doesn't
this is not fast. This is not a fast ride from what I've seen. And the 40-inch waist limit is what they're pointing to. And you're right, Ed. It's a safety issue.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's frustrating because obviously you don't want to show up and not know that you might not be able to ride a ride. Like I'm short, and if I had to be 5'8" to ride a ride, I would suck that I couldn't, or vice versa. Somebody who's too tall maybe couldn't ride a ride. These
Mhm.
things you want to know, but we can't exactly say, well, that's not fair. Everybody should be able to ride it. If there's a parameter they have to design around it,
Mhm.
that's reality. That's not as something that you can say I can get by because I am who I am. It's frustrating, and I get
Mhm.
it. If you can't change your height or etc.,
Yeah.
that's frustrating.
Yeah, it's funny too because like Disney is actually thinking about delaying the opening of their Tron roller coaster, which they already announced an opening date for,
Mhm.
because the ride vehicles were designed around the Japanese audience, which traditionally Japanese audience is smaller than an American audience, and some of the cast members who are larger have complained that they don't fit in the ride vehicle properly. So they've been going back to the drawing board and saying, do we create a larger ride vehicle? How do we do this? And they might delay the opening of the ride because their ride vehicles are too small.
Did you see the video of it, the new
Yeah, it
Tron
looks
one?
awesome. Yeah, it looks awesome.
Looks really good. I didn't
Quite
get to
excited.
see. I know they did it first, the like the first person perspective. I haven't seen it like from the side or anything,
Yeah.
to get an idea of the cart.
Oh, the whole canopy thing is really ugly, but like the ride looks cool, and
Oh, I
especially
haven't
at
seen it
night.
yet.
Yeah, the entire thing is like at night it lights up and has that
Yeah.
neon blue Tron color, and it's like an indoor and outdoor roller coaster. So like it launches you into the grid, and you go outside underneath this canopy, and then you go back in to the ride building, which actually becomes the Tron grid, and you kind of go into the grid, and it's you're on the Tron light cycles, and they're two like one. Everybody gets their own kind of Tron light cycle, and the train looks like a row of light cycles. It looks super cool.
Holy cow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take another look at it. It looks really cool though.
yeah. It opened in Japan like 10 years ago, and then they're finally bringing it over here.
To America.
hmm And it opens right now. It's set to open on April 5th, but we'll see. That's enough of that though. Our next story, our last kind of news story, which is something that Ed and I kind of wanted to talk about. Retro Studios had a Star Fox game in development for Wii U called Star Fox Armada, and Ed, remember when they did the puppets for E3 one year,
Yes.
and we were like, they should make a game out of the puppets. This is exactly
Yes.
what that was. It was a Star Fox game based around the puppets, and everything was going to be kind of like puppets and kind of Sesame Street or Muppet-esque with like sticks and poles and kind of like a stage show, like a
Hmm.
Muppet stage show, right? And uh Nintendo said no, but they had like a prototype ready. They had multiple prototypes ready, uh which is also, I think, maybe where that Star Fox Grand Prix rumor came out a few years
Uh-huh.
ago, because Retro was also working on supposedly still working on something for Switch, right? A Star Fox game that was called Star Fox Grand Prix, and it was kind of like a racing slash battle game. Supposedly, you guys can look it up. It was on an E3 pamphlet they handed out one year, and they ended up not showing it as part of their presentation, but it was
Mission.
on the leaked pamphlet and everything. There's a logo. Uh, Check it out. But yeah, I thought that was really cool that like we've been talking about this for I don't know how
Right.
long,
And
5, 6, 7 years.
yeah,
They actually
because
did have a prototype ready for this.
and it's weird because I wonder when they mentioned this. I wondered if this is way before Star Fox Zero, or
Oh
was
yeah,
it,
I would
or
have much
something
rather
like
had
that.
this.
Uh, and everything. So, Star Fox Armada was the name of it.
It's a cool
I
name.
ki- I love that name, and definitely think I think Retro could have really pulled this off.
Yeah.
um and stuff, because I mean, of course they have the experience with Metroid Prime, but I'm like, shoot, get some people from level was it not level 5, who did Rogue Galaxy on GameCube?
Uh, it
Factory
wasn't
5.
Factory. Yeah,
Factor 5.
Factor 5.
Yeah, Factory 5. If they would have got people from Factory 5 to help them out at Retro to make this game, insane.
Mhm. Well,
I
there
would have pre-ordered day one.
there was also that HD collection of the Rogue Squadron games that never came out too, because they couldn't get the licensing. It was supposed to come out on Wii,
Uh,
and then Nintendo didn't want it because they didn't, I don't know, some reason they didn't want it. And then it was supposed to come out on Xbox, and then Factor 5 got into some financial trouble, and I think they ended up actually shutting down. Uh, and there are prototypes of that game out on Xbox 360 though. But you know, so yeah, Star Fox Armada cancel game from Retro Studios. You know, this year this is the 10th. It'll have been 10 years since they put a game out. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was in 2013,
oh, that is right.
and that was the last game we got from Retro Studios.
Oh, because you're not counting like the
Oh, I'm not
the
counting the
the
re-release.
funky mode as
No,
the new game.
no,
That's
no.
crazy. And I
I
think
know.
about that, I mean, the games they were planning and get canceled and then getting aside to Metroid Prime 4, and that's been 4 years since
Mhm.
we've seen the light of day with that game. And
Yeah.
wow, it just feels like ah,
I
Is
mean,
it
they helped with Mario Kart 7 on the
sure?
3DS, and they helped with I think they originally helped with Mario Kart 8 for a little bit. Like they've been a support studio, but to have a proper product come out of there,
It seems
haven't
like
had one
such a
for 10 years.
waste of a great studio to say you're gonna help something. It's like almost like the Call of Duty games, like, oh, we're gonna take
Hmm.
these Raven Studios and we're just gonna like support the games, but we don't
Right.
want you actually to do something creative, which
Right.
it's just
Oh,
it just seems like
you know,
mismanagement to a large extent.
High Moon making awesome Transformers games, and then they limited to,
Exactly.
oh, you
Yeah.
guys made 2 great Transformers games. Here's you're gonna make Call of Duty maps now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Great,
gross.
great, great use of talent. Yeah, continue with that.
Right.
It's like I think of like all of the lost opportunities and the shifted resources to do certain things with Nintendo, which is just like, wow, it's just got to be so frustrating as a developer to say, we have no pull, we have no sway,
Right.
and have no power. And that just feels like, why would I work at Nintendo if I don't know if I'll ever get a game shown the day of light? I would leave. And just say I would be better off as an independent studio and get picked up by a third party studio, and
Yeah.
I
another
mean,
console.
in all reality, part of the people who Metroid Prime left Retro and
Yeah.
went to Microsoft. That's why we got Halo 4.
Yeah. Armature Studios, all
Yeah.
of those
Uh,
companies. Yeah.
Recore.
Yeah.
yeah. What happened to Record? What happened to that studio?
They're still doing stuff. They're still doing stuff. I don't know what they
Yeah.
did last, but they're still doing stuff. But we're gonna move away from news now. Again, there's not a lot. There is some other minor news stories out there. You can go find them if you want. But
Hmm.
we have a Game Fact Advance, and we have a bunch of questions to get to. So we're gonna move into Game Fact Advance, guys.
Yes.
You guys bought a 3DS.
Yep.
Did you ever wish it had a second thumbstick to play the hot new titles like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater and Resident Evil? Well, the Nintendo had the accessory for you. At least if you didn't mind making your 3DS into the size of a small laptop. That's right, we're talking about the Circle Pad Pro, more lovingly called the 3DS Boat by fans. This massive accessory released on February 7th, 2012 in North America. Added a second Circle Pad to the 3DS, adding camera controls to a select few third-party games. The device had a 3DS dock inside, hooking it into the charging slot to allow the accessory to work. It didn't last long. In future iterations of the new 3DS models, the new, not new 3DS, but like the branded new 3DS, not that Nintendo's great at naming things, had the small nub stick added that acted as the circle pad in future iterations. So that's your Game Fact Advance of the week, the 3DS Boat.
I remember we didn't sell it at Toys R Us when I was working there. But I remember people getting it. I think it worked with Monster Hunter Generation or Monster Hunter
Yeah,
4.
it worked
I
with all the
think.
Capcom games and all the Konami stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
I bought it for Resident Evil Revelations, and that thing, man, you think the Wii U is uncomfortable to hold? that thing,
It was a
Did it work with the Kid Icarus game?
no,
no.
What?
no.
Of all the things
I know it
it
didn't
should
work.
have worked with.
It didn't work with any Nintendo first party games that I remember.
It was literally designed for Capcom in the sense.
Yeah, well, it was designed because Resident Evil Revelations specifically,
Oh, jeez.
because they wanted a console experience on the 3DS, and
Yeah.
man,
I don't know what to say.
It
that's
was
your Game Pack Advance of the week.
Apparently, you can buy it on eBay for $115. Is that right?
Oh my gosh, that's so gross. That thing was $30 when it came out. Man,
Well,
Nintendo accessories. If you want one, you better buy it instantly.
could it
Apparently,
be
you
on
can
the
import
level
it
of
from Japan for $50. Okay, so I'm mistaken. You can get it for $50 from Japan.
Or you can buy a new 3DS or a new 2DS XL for, I don't know, double that price and just have a new 3DS.
I still think that Steel Battalion controller is still it takes the cake
that's
of
still
the most insane controller.
it's still the
Crazy.
best. That controller is the best.
Uh,
All right. Go ahead, Ed. Sorry.
Oh, well, everybody, it's time for question block. And we got 3 questions for you guys. Shay via Discord asks, when will a brand new Zelda top-down game release? Not a remake or a re-release. What would what would you want to see in this game, such as art style, story, or unique mechanics? Um, so when do you guys think we will see a brand new Zelda top-down game release?
So not a remake or a re-release, just a
Yes.
new. Wow, the last new Zelda uh, game we got was what, Cadence of Hyrule from that perspective, because everything
Um,
else since then has been
Yeah, I mean,
if
it's
it's
been a
don't.
remake, right?
I think the last new one besides Cadence of
Four
Hyrule
Swords.
was Link Between Worlds, right?
Yeah, Link Between Worlds, because Link's Awakening was a remake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's that was in the 3DS how many years
Yeah.
ago?
I
Yeah.
I think Grezzo would do something like that. I have a feeling that's something I'm going to say next year. I feel
A
like that's
new, like a brand new Zelda we've never seen before.
Well,
like a brand new Zelda from Grezzo
Um,
that's top down. I think because we haven't got anything from Grezzo
has
since
Grezzo
Link's
made
Awakening.
a like they haven't? I mean, have they made a unique Zelda that was not tied to anything else though?
mm-mm, no.
Because Capcom has did all the other ones.
Well,
In a sense,
um,
besides
Who
Link
does
Between
Nintendo
Worlds.
trust with a Zelda game that's not by Zelda, not by an internal Nintendo studio, except for the
well,
Capcom Oracle and Ages?
the cadence has been new game, spin-off, remake, remaster,
Hmm.
right? And then, they've kind of filled it in with the Warriors games and stuff. But like
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get another, I would say 2 years before we get another new Zelda game if it's top down at least. Uh but I would man, I really love Link's Awakening's art style, but I would like to see them try something new. As much as I love the Wind Waker art style and the Breath of the Wild art style and the
Hmm.
Link's Awakening was so great because it was new at the time, right? It was so new and unique. Like I would love to see some sort of um actually, you know what I would love to see? Um shoot. Let me look it up real quick.
As an
So
art
like
style.
yeah, so the game I'm thinking of is Mistwalker's iPhone game Fantasian on Apple
Mm.
Arcade. It is a top-down RPG, but the whole game it uses thousands of photos of real dioramas that the team had built, and they constructed a game world out of these dioramas that they built, and it's an
Mhm.
RPG, and it's really incredible. I actually played it a couple weeks ago because we were talking about Mistwalker on another show, and I was so obsessed with Last Story and Lost Odyssey when those games came out, and Mistwalker I think is just an underrated studio. I really wish Fantasian would come to Switch because I think it would be a huge hit for them. uh, but I would like to see them do that and have some sort of like overworld diorama that you're kind of walking through, and then maybe the dungeons are kind of carefully crafted in their whatever engine they're using, but really create an overworld that looks realistic and awesome, and have these great character models that fit into this world.
Mhm.
And maybe there's secrets, or uh you know maybe you can kind of do the perspective thing that Death's Door or Tunic does, where like maybe you turn the camera just a tad and you can see behind something and there's a secret there. That's kind of what I would like to see from the
I
next Zelda game.
I kind of wonder would they go to claymation, and I know they did the Kirby stuff, I know, and not really much Epic Yard because that's more now Yoshi's style in when it comes to games. But I wonder would Grezzo go? Would they try a claymation style and how it would look like, or if they did rotoscope with Zelda? Like,
Mm.
what other styles can they do with this game? And I think Gresso is talented enough to do it. Um,
Base it off
it
the 80s and 90s cartoon.
Oh my goodness, no. Good, Greg. Good, goody moogity. Turning the CDI games into a top-down 2D Zelda would be a nightmare.
What
I
if
would
they
pay
remade the
$60.
CDI games though? What if they retold the story of the CDI
Ooh.
games in a brand new kind of Zelda, like a reimagining, if you
Mhm.
will?
Who owns
I
those
mean,
though?
Panasonic, I think.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
Still
think.
holding
it
I
on
can't.
think.
to that re-release.
Yeah, I think Nintendo doesn't want anybody to know that those
No,
existed.
no. How about this?
Oh,
How
go
about
ahead, Todd.
this? We get the NES, SNES style Zelda Maker.
People have been
That's
wanting that.
new. It's simplistic in regards to that. And you could go screen by screen, have it connect, and that would be insane for creators. It would drive people nuts. And
Mhm.
it basically, it doesn't mean that they actually have to create a new story. People can
Mhm.
create their own stories
I
in bubble balloons because you don't need voice acting. All
I
these
like
things
that.
seems like it would play out, and then you are satisfying people that want new Zelda,
Mhm.
but don't have to worry about, oh, this doesn't work or I don't like this. It's like, no, you're making your own game. And then top creators can then create their own little mini dungeons.
I like that
So,
idea, Todd, a lot.
are you like almost in the same level how Anuma and them use Zelda for NES to make Breath of the Wild in a sense? How they took it and made it like open world and stuff. Um and
No, I'm
everything.
just
Like how
saying, just give people a tool set, and then you give like creators within Nintendo and maybe
Mhm.
creators outside of Nintendo say,
Mhm.
hey, make your great Nintendo dungeon for Zelda.
Mhm.
And that's all you need to do. And if you want to add in like story elements or things like that, you can with like bubbles and like you can add in
Oh, so the
NPCs
game is
and things
already
like that.
made. So the game is already made, but from different creators.
But it would also say that you can make your own. So basically,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
tool
okay.
set's there, but as a Nintendo and the Mario Maker, like I think there was like what 100 pre-made levels by
Yeah.
creators, and the same thing there. And then they
Okay.
would,
That's what
and
I
if they
okay.
allowed other creators outside to say, you can then put in your levels, and then people can enjoy them. Naughty Dog could make Zelda Maker levels.
Okay. I get you now. Okay. Just wanted to
So it creates
make
the
sure.
new game,
Yeah.
but it's essentially based on a level set with NES, SNES type graphics that would mean it's within a scope that creators and even like yourself, Ed, and Corey could go in and make their own levels if they wanted to, with the
I can
classic
see that.
sounds and fun, and it scratches that nostalgia itch. Plus, also maybe adding some new features and playing around with all of the weird, like putting NES things within an SNES would be a lot of fun.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Just don't make it please everybody, just don't make Zelda 2 as a Zelda 1 top down game. I
That
don't
would be
want to
weird.
play that.
That'd be weird. Although I would love that. I would love to them remake a Zelda too.
Oh
Do that.
yes, 100%. Jesse Douglas via Twitter asks, "Do you think we see a new Switch Pro or their next console at E3?" No.
No.
No. I mean, I think all those Switch Pro rumors have kind of been confirmed to be dead at this point. We know that they were working on something, but obviously with chip shortages and the pandemic and anything else that kind of went wrong, they kind of decided that it wouldn't be worth the cost to, especially, I mean, look, the Switch is still selling. Like, why would you make it an iteration at this point, right? So,
Mhm.
especially this late, we're in year 6. It's already been the longest Nintendo cycle we've ever had. So, yeah, no, the next
Yeah,
Nintendo console you're going to see is the next Nintendo console. Hopefully, is backwards compatible and operates similar to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we potentially could see just a redo of the Switch where you get December or January. Hey, the new Switch is coming, or the new Nintendo system is coming, and then it launches in March, just
Mhm.
like that. But it's with a Mario game. It's backwards compatible. Like we got Breath of the Wild was also on the Wii U with
Uh-huh.
Switch, and
I
then
think
it's just gonna run much better.
Do you,
Yeah,
I
do
think
you
that's why
guys
we haven't got Mario Odyssey 2 yet, is
yeah, I
because
think
that's
so
going to
too.
be the launch
the
game.
next? Do you guys think March is a good time for Nintendo to release
Uh-huh.
their next system?
Yes.
Yep. Allows them that time to get the early adopters in, so they can build in some inventory. So when the fall comes around, they've
Mhm.
satisfied their most hungerous fans, and then in the fall they get the stragglers, the families.
I think
Mhm.
that would make a good discussion expansion pass. Like
Next gen
what
Nintendo. That's what we'll talk about.
yes. Yes. Like
Thanks,
what
Todd.
month what month feels right for a console release from different companies, but definitely for Nintendo. I guess March works.
Mhm.
Okay. And our final question comes from Christian S via Twitter. He asks, tell us a developer or studio you like to see handle someone else's IP. For example, Nintendo developing Halo.
I want Gorilla to develop Zelda. I want a Horizon Forbidden West Zelda so bad. In that art style, in that how that graphical fidelity. I
Mhm.
know they're done that the Horizon kind of equivalent to a Zelda dungeon. They aren't great in terms of puzzles or whatever, but like I don't care. I want to if I mean to be fair, the Divine Beasts weren't great dungeons either. So uh I would I've wanted a heavily realistic kind of or graphical powerhouse Zelda since that Wii U tech demo they showed off before the Wii U came out.
Yes.
Uh for those who are new or don't know, the Wii U tech demo for what would be the Wii U Zelda that never came to fruition had Link walking through this very beautiful, highly detailed castle fighting a giant Goma, and they had like a bunch of lighting effects going on that people who played the demo could play with, and it was just an incredible tech demo, and we never got that Zelda. But after playing Horizon Forbidden West on PS5, like that's the prettiest game I've ever seen in my entire life. It's the most detailed game I've ever seen in my entire life, and I would love a Zelda that's that
And,
big and that beautiful and that kind of maybe not realistic, but that
mm,
high fidelity art style.
and no knock to Sony because I love when their Sony artists do character art of Nintendo characters and just show it all. I think that's so cool and everything. I
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that yet because I would not play the game because I'll be like this is too gorgeous and I don't want to move. Trust me, I would pay $80. I'm sorry Nintendo. I would pay more for that. Uh
Yeah, I just
I I
man,
I love Gorilla. I think they're
yeah.
talented in all they do.
In, in
In all they
my
do.
in my opinion, they are my favorite team Sony has doing
Oh,
stuff
really?
right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
I think Horizon is my favorite IP that Sony has going right now.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Mm. Um, Tim Schafer's company doing a Paper Mario game.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that's a good
And,
one.
and because Tim Schafer knows comedy outside Psychonauts and all of their other games that Tim Schafer has worked on, his company knows, and don't know why I
They
can't think
technically
of it.
did. They technically made a funny little
Costume
RPG
Quest.
called Costume Quest.
Oh,
Yes.
Costume Quest was fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I could see their writing style and their whatever design they want to do for a Paper Mario game. I think that's so fitting for them. And I would love to see Tim Schafer's sarcasm in his jokes done in the Nintendo style and everything.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Good
it's a
pick,
good
Ed.
pick, Ed.
Yeah. So I have two. So this is dumb, but I'll take it. I want the Resident Evil team to take over Eternal Darkness from Nintendo.
Yes,
That's a great pick, actually.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
there's no dumb opinions here on Nintendo Power Block. Ed is the
I
host.
mean,
So.
I just don't understand why Nintendo doesn't let the IP go,
Mhm.
or sell it to Xbox. Sell it to Xbox. Holy hell! Just sell it to Xbox. They could put a team on that and make it. Hopefully,
Put Ninja
maybe.
Theory on that.
Oh God! Oh, that would be
Oh
so good.
no!
Ninja Theory.
What do you mean?
Ninja Theory
Between
doing Eternal
between
Darkness? Ninja Theory?
yeah.
Oh heck no!
Hellblade was essentially a different version of Eternal Darkness. What are you
Nintendo
talking about?
Nintendo will go give Kobe Tecmo Eternal Darkness before
Oh,
they
you're
give
the
it.
worst.
Oh god.
Yeah, and they can make a Warriors game out of it. Great.
I mean because they got
I
the
just
ghost
imagine
the
the
frame.
cutscenes would be so fantastically stilted and painful, and the dialogue would not make any sense because they would say, "Don't localize it, just translate it directly." There you go. That makes sense. That would be one. It's kind of crazy.
This is what I deal with on a weekly basis, Todd.
I know. I love Ed's passion for the crazy. I love it. And then I would. This is be the other one. I would get the team that made the South Park RPGs and have them finally make an amiibo turn-based RPG.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Where you just make these weird teams of your amiibo. It's like I'm teaming up the was it the Guardian from Zelda Breath of the Wild with King Boo and King Dedede. That's your team. And you just beat random like Nintendo baddies, and it's turn-based, and you swap them out when they die.
This sounds like
that
Project
game? That me game on 3DS with the role playing.
Metopia?
No, there was a role playing game that you was able to buy like for $3, and it took your me and friends that you
I know what
Street Pass.
They ported it to Switch, I think. I think it was
Metopia.
I think it was Metopia.
My son loved that. The Switch game he loved too. Yeah. So, but I just felt like there's never been a amiibo game, and right now amiibo essentially are just like stranded. Nobody cares about them. I mean, they eventually come out. They'll buy like 10 or 5 of them.
Look, excluding Animal Crossing Festival.
Yes,
I could see that happening. Yeah,
but why not? It'd be fun. It'd be goofy. You would you would renew people's excitement about just building the biggest amiibo army in the world. It would be very difficult because you have like 85 million amiibo, but I still think that would be fun. And I love the Switch. I love the South Park RPG. I thought it was the best RPG I played in years because it wasn't a 85-hour RPG. You got to grind. It was 20 hours. Did not say it was welcome. Played a great story. The mechanics were fun, and I moved on.
I love Stick of Truth so much. So good.
Can we give Konami Fire Emblem so they can make a beat up arcade like the 90s?
No, but you know what Todd's idea sounds like is Project Cross Zone on the 3DS.
Oh god, yeah, that was a weird one, wasn't it? Right? That was like was it Capcom? Was it Capcom Konami or whatever?
And Bandai Namco too. Yeah,
so weird. Yeah.
Oh, I love that game. Project XO. Oh, I love that. What is the one that the Pokemon and the Warriors?
It was the Kingdoms, Pokemon Kingdoms, right?
Conquest.
Yeah, Pokemon Conquest. Yeah. Yes, because it had. Oh man, I could
Fire Emblem with Pokemon.
Give intelligence system having Halo Wars would be quite interesting. In a sense.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I guess keeping it within Nintendo.
Doing it.
Within Nintendo, I would actually like to see Monolith make a Fire Emblem proper RPG. But I've wanted that for a while. So, anyways,
let Playground you make Unibracers. A special DLC pack for Forza.
That's it. Nope. That's it. Get us out of here.
Tyler's just like, did he just go back to the Super Nintendo days?
Todd's like, no wonder I only come on this show in particular every like 3 years.
If you said Playground games and Excite Truck, maybe.
Oh,
awesome. That'd be some good DLC for Forza Horizon. I bring up Unibracers so much. I know. Just to see.
You're the worst.
But everybody, that's gonna be it for Nintendo Power Block. Todd, go ahead and let everybody know about Super Friends Unite and Co-op mode and where they can find you and follow you guys.
Wow, if I haven't made a million enemies right now because of the Nintendo fan base, I apologize. I love games. I love all things geek. But I'm part of Secret Friends Unite. Myself, Charlie Carden, and Mark Carabin, along with some other contributors, we make a bunch of geeky podcasts. Star Wars, Star Trek, video games, and all things geek. We're at Secret Friends Unite at Secret Friends U on Twitter, secretfriendsunite.com for all our stuff, and we're on Patreon, patreon.com/secretfriendsunite for all things nerd. We just want to have a lot of fun and talk to cool people about the things they love.
Yes. And Todd, where can they find you?
Oh, myself at Todd Oxtra. I'm up to no good. That's all I can say.
Todd, really, I do appreciate you. I love you, man. You know, of course, we appreciate you coming to Nintendo Pop Block and just being the cool dude you are. And just, you know, like you said, you love games. We love games. And with that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pop Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Bye.
Bye.
Nintendo Pop Block is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. The show is hosted by me, Edward Varnell. My co-hosts are Corey Derrick and Cordy Yikes. You can find Corey at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting the Boss Rush Podcast and Tower Casuals, the Destiny Podcast. You can find Cordy at Cordy_Yikes on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. You can find me at That Richard Cole on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Nintendo Pop Block on all social media platforms at Pop Block Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Visit bossrush.net for more great content and patreon.com/bossrushmedia to learn how you can support this show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.